everyone, and welcome to another video. Today, Maddie and I wanted to share with you some of our favorite historical fiction books. If you know us, you know we love historical fiction, and we just have a few that we really love, some of our favorite books, and we thought we would go ahead and share those with you today. So Maddie is going to start with her first book.
So the first book that I have is Airman by Owen Colfer. So this book was set in the 1890s, and it follows the story of Connor Brocart, who was born in a hot air balloon. As he grows up, he is extremely interested in flying and heavier than air flying machines, and he has a tutor who teaches him all about them, and he is just so fascinated by them. Him and his teacher are working on the design for a heavier than air flying machine. Unfortunately, things go awry and he is accused of a murder and sent to prison. It mostly follows his journey in prison and everything that happens with that.
It's sad, but it's also adventurous.
Yes, it's very adventurous, very sad, but also not just like super sad. It's still hopeful and happy, and it's quite humorous, and it's just such a wonderful story, and the characters have integrity and like are persevering through some really hard stuff, and it's just a book that I love and I've read many times.
The next book we have is The Bronze Bow by Elizabeth George Spear. This is very much in a different era than the last book. This is set during the time of Jesus, and I actually read this book when I was quite young, and I kind of like didn't like it because I had to read it for school, and I was annoyed by the audiobook reader, and I just didn't like it. But then as I got older, I realized how it was actually such a good story, and this follows Daniel, who is living with his sister and grandma, and they're very poor, and his sister is quite sickly, and his grandma is blind, and he's living in a very difficult time. So when Jesus comes around and is promising all these things and doing all of these miracles, he's kind of confused about it, and he doesn't understand what, I guess, Jesus is trying to do. So he learns a lot through the story, and it's actually one I'd like to reread because I can't remember exactly the points that are brought up in it, but I do know it's a very, very good story that I think a lot of people would benefit from reading.
The next book is Salt to the Sea by Rudissa Petties. So this book is set during the end of World War III, and it is about a...
World War III.
Oh. Can you tell that it's 10 p.m.? So this book is set during the end of World War II, and it is about the single greatest tragedy in maritime history, which is a very little-known story. And this description does not tell me what the ship is called, and I can't remember at all. So I don't really know. I can't remember what this is. But I read this quite a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first Rudissa Petties, and I have really enjoyed all the books written by her after that. So this book follows 4 characters, and it's very sad, of course, because it's about World War II. But I just remember it was so gripping and sad, but just really good. I don't know, it was just written really well, and I just really enjoyed it, and it made me want to read all of Rudissa Petties' other books as well.
The next book we want to recommend is Within These Lines by Stephanie Morrill, and I read this in 2021, apparently. This is a book set in 1941 in California, and it follows 2 different people. It follows Evelina Casano, who is a Italian-American, and Taichi Hamasaki, who is a Japanese-American. And basically what happens is Taichi gets taken to a Japanese internment camp, and this book is a romance. It's classified as romance, which is not really my genre, but a lot of it does take place through letters.
Is this the one that said romance on the side and you gave it to me to read because it said romance?
Okay, I
feel like it was like not. I mean, it was romance, but like not.
It was the focus of the story because basically these 2 characters fall in love and are trying to figure out a way that they can get married, even though that's not really a possibility for them. So
it's like the plot, but not.
Yeah, it's like the plot centers around that, but it's not like a complete focus on it. And it's actually a lot about family, which I really, really loved about it. I just loved how much the characters were so dedicated to their families, and it also wasn't a very violent story, which I really appreciated because sometimes historical fiction can get a little too intense for me. It was just a really, really solid story. that was also set in just such a unique place, and it's just not where a typical World War II book is set, which I also really appreciated and got to learn about a lot of new things.
The next book is Van Gogh Between Sky and Earth by Timothy D. Fombelle, and this is originally written in French, so make sure you get, well, if you don't speak French, make sure you get the English version. And this is set right before World War II, so it's set around the 1930s, 1934, but I believe it goes a little later. And the beginning of this book starts off with Van Gogh, who is lying on the ground. I don't actually know what he's doing, but he's about to become a monk. But before he is completely turned into a monk...
Just go with it. We're tired.
Yeah, I know. Something happens so that he cannot become a monk. This is so bad. Anyway, okay, he's not a monk, and he is now on the run. And I will say that every Timothy D. Fombelle book that I have read is about someone on the run, just so you know. But they're always great. He's been accused for something that he has not done, and he is on the run. I don't know. I just really enjoy that. I love the story, the writing, the characters. It was just all so lovely and fun and adventurous and just like, yeah, exciting, unusual, and beautifully written. Mm-hmm. Thank you, David Almond. That was perfect.
I feel like it's also... mature isn't the right word.
Oh, like, yeah. Like, not
mature.
Like,
what's
adult
the word
worthy.
For that? like, not dumb. There we go. It's not dumb. We should give this to our French commenter. She might like that.
Oh. Yeah, we did. If you're still watching this and you still can't understand, I'm sorry, but this book is in French, so you could read it. Are you okay? Okay, Van Gogh, if we didn't end it. This is Van Gogh.
Next we have A Night Divided by Jennifer A. Nielsen. This is set in the 80s, I believe, yes, during the time of the Berlin Wall. And it's kind of like right before the fall of it, just... I don't know if that's a spoiler, but anyway, this follows Gerda and Fritz, and they live on the eastern side, and it's controlled by the Soviets, and a couple of her family members get over to the other side, so basically the whole book is their journey to trying to meet them, and all while they're living in the horrible living conditions, and so basically her and her brother are going behind everyone's backs and figuring out an escape plan. And this is just a very, very riveting story, especially for younger readers. It's a very good historical fiction book for younger readers. I feel like there isn't that many. It's just very interesting to read about that time, and I have read this, I think, 3 times, beginning from when I was probably like 13, and I have still really, really enjoyed it every time I read it.
The next book I have is The Scarlet Pimpernel by Baroness Orczy, and I don't know when this was written, but it was written like a long time ago.
After the French Revolution.
Okay, after the French Revolution. Because it's a historical fiction book. So, okay, so this is about the French Revolution. You read this for school, then you told me to read it, and I really, really loved it. So, okay, so this is about Marguerite Blakeney and her husband, Percy Blakeney, who saves all the people from La Guillotine. And so, what else do we talk about? Thank you.
Say things if you want me to.
Yes, please say things. I have nothing to say.
So basically, Marguerite is kind of seen as this really smart and intelligent woman that's like, I don't know, just very popular amongst the rich folk. And her husband, on the other hand, is just kind of this dumb guy who follows her around and obeys everything she says. And so...
Well, and he's stupid and he's got these long white fingers.
Yeah. And so, as things continue, obviously these rich people are quite a bit of danger, even if they try to think that they're not. And the Scarlet Pimpernel has to come in and save the day.
Yes, this was such a fun, adventurous, plot-twisty book. Don't read the back.
Yeah, don't read what it's about. Yeah. Go in blind.
Yeah, because it's good. It's really good, and I haven't read any of these. There's a lot of other books in the series, and we have heard that those are really good as well, but we haven't read them yet. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this to anyone. It's so good.
I would say out of all of the classics I have ever read, this is the most riveting one.
Yeah.
So if you want a riveting classic, read this. Okay, but it does have a kind of hard start, so you gotta get past that. There's some conversations that are gonna be a little confusing, but you can make it.
It starts with like they're like in that room
it's
and people come in.
It's a little hard.
But you can do it.
Yes, it's worth it. Also, can we, hold on, I know, we need to end this, but like, can we talk about her name? This is Baroness Orczy.
Oh my gosh, this is the author's name.
Okay, ready? Amuska, Magdalena, Rosalia, Maria, Josepha, Barbara, Orczy. And our last book we want to recommend is Romanov by Nadine Barantis. I have not read this in a while, but it's kind of like an Anastasia retelling. I don't really like to say that. I say it's more of like the Romanov family retelling. And
with a little bit of magic.
Yes.
This fiction.
It's quite interesting. It's weird.
It's like historical fiction fantasy.
Yeah,
sort
it
of.
takes some weird twists. And this follows the Romanov family as they are imprisoned. I don't actually know like what year. And it's in Russia, and basically the Romanov family was taken into custody by the people in power, and they were kept there. They were not allowed to really do anything, and it goes through their lives. And it's been a while since I've read this book, but I did really enjoy just like the feeling of it, the mysterious, magical feeling of the story. And it's one I'd like to reread again. I actually, after I read this, I did a lot of research on the Romanov family, and I feel like it would be even better now. So yeah, this is one I'd like to reread, and I would highly recommend if you kind of like fantasy-esque stories.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not that much fantasy.
Yeah,
it's like, not. I don't know. I don't remember that much of it. So those were our 8 historical fiction book recommendations. We'd love to hear if you haven't read any of these, or if you have any great historical fiction book recommendations. We are always on the lookout for more. We hope you enjoyed this video. We want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.